Welcome back. Let's continue with more news on SA Today with myself, Liesl Wilson. The World Health Organization is this week celebrating World Immunization Week. The aim is to highlight the collective action needed and to promote the use of vaccines to protect people of all ages against disease. The World Health Organization works with countries across the globe to raise awareness of the value of vaccines and immunization and ensures that governments obtain the necessary guidance and technical support to implement high-quality immunization programs. Now, this year, World Immunization is celebrated under the theme, The Great Catch-Up. For more on this, we're joined via Zoom by Johanita Jordaan. She is the Clinical Divisional Manager at Dis-chem. Johanita, good afternoon. Thanks for your time here on the SABC.
Good afternoon, Liesl. Thank you.
Johanita, perhaps you could talk to us about the importance of immunizations against viruses, particularly influenza, as we head into winter season.
Yes, definitely, Liesl. Heading to the winter season, I think it's so appropriate now to have African Vaccination Week because vaccines, as always, especially the flu vaccines, having the quadrivalent flu vaccine available now, has always proven to be such a cost-effective and effective way of not eliminating but preventing flu. So yes, definitely African Vaccination Week is right on par with this season.
We're also obviously on the back of this COVID-19 pandemic, the ripple effects still being quantified. COVID-19 fatigue has also somewhat caused most people to be complacent, perhaps not wanting to go for the normal influenza vaccine. Walk us through how we can combat, perhaps also mitigate against some of those stereotypes this time round.
Yes, definitely, Liesl. And if you look at the theme of this year's African Vaccination Week, it is the big catch-up, and it has a big reference to the state of global immunizations following the acute phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, and definitely a call to action. And looking at that, I think the whole society and the country has experienced this, what we call treatment fatigue, and that causes vaccine hesitancy. The most important part here in assisting us with this vaccine hesitancy is to make sure that we never miss our opportunity to vaccinate. And with that being said, never missing an opportunity to vaccinate means we must have these vaccines accessible. So what is wonderful with this is the public-private partnership that Dis-chem and Dis-chem Baby City has with the government, where we charge a nominal consultation fee, but we have the government-subsidized vaccines, where we can make sure that the whole of South Africa can have access to vaccines.
On the back of that, you speak about vaccine hesitancy. You also speak about public-private partnerships. Some people may be of the view that because they're vaccinated against COVID-19, it means that their immune systems are strong enough. Perhaps you could talk to us about the disparities in the different vaccines, why it's important to perhaps immunize as well.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, yes, COVID-19 created this perception of I'm vaccinated, I don't have to get vaccinated. And I'm sure we saw it in 2021, a bit in 2022, where COVID was still part of our daily lives. But luckily in South Africa, we have a very clear expanded program on immunizations that shows us our whole immunization protocol that we have. And if you visit any primary healthcare service, it will give you a clear indication of which vaccines are complementary, which vaccines are essential. And at this stage, as I've mentioned before, accessibility is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Also just looking at measles, other viruses that are obviously making the rounds, how this impacts children at large. What are some of the other recommended vaccines that's crucial, particularly for children, also those who are older in age?
Yes, so if you look at our expanded program of immunizations that we have in South Africa, it starts from birth onwards until, and there's a common misperception that it ends at 6 years, but vaccines is for everyone. From 6 years up until the age of more than 100. So one of the common vaccines that we have is measles. Yes, it is a notifiable disease, so we always give preference to measles. But we have other vaccines like tetanus vaccines, diphtheria, pertussis, We also have our pneumococcal vaccine. That's very important. And like I mentioned, we have a very clear immunization program in South Africa that we can follow. Looking at if you access primary healthcare services, there's also complementary vaccines like the varicella vaccine that is for chickenpox. We also have the meningococcal vaccines that is for meningitis. So in South Africa, we have quite a broad spectrum of vaccines.
All right, Johanita, thank you for your time here on the SABC, perhaps also enlightening us on World Immunization Week, of course, under the theme, The Great Catch-Up. Johanita Jordaan, Clinical Division Manager at Dis-chem, weighing in on the importance, the significance, and also what some of the recommended vaccines are for people of all ages. Again, thank you to her for her time.